Hello, my name is Ivana and my group consists of Rodrigo, Matias, Nicolas, Laura, and myself. Throughout this video, my group and I will answer the subject of comparing independence and nation building throughout guiding questions, answering shared beliefs between the various authors that drew the ideologies of Karl Marx. Next slide, please. Next. So as these authors came from rural societies, a mixture between resentment and the promise to bring land titles back to peasants was in truth intent to bring the public unit for Karl Marx communist beliefs. In truth, the communist beliefs by the communist parties are centered to benefit the dictating party, while in truth not fulfilling the promises made by the public.
These beliefs that various authors drew upon Marxist beliefs were in part a strategic move to be, in truth, a party operating in a monopolistic governance and the sole controller of the various industries by the nation. By being the overwhelmingly rural society, the different authors were in part biased towards the beliefs that stated by Dr. Sun Yat-sen's in giving the land back to the titlers and confiscating private-owned entities in connection to the resentment from the colonizers and the elite. In addition, the similarity drawn between peasants and a sack of potatoes is argued to be a hatred towards one's own community, where the author detested people in a similar class to his. This can be evidenced in the passage of the Three World Order in page 868, where it reads, enterprises, whether Chinese-owned or foreign-owned, that are monopolistic in character or that are no longer as skilled for private management, such as banks, railways, and airlines, shall be operated by the state so that private capital cannot dominate the livelihood of people. Furthermore, it reads, this republic will adopt certain measures to confiscate the land of landlords and distribute it to those peasants who have no land or little land, carried out by Dr. Sun Yat-sen's slogan, land to the titlers, abolish the feudal relations in the world areas, and turn the title into the private property of the peasants.
So now I will talk about to identify the balance between indigenous traditions and foreign influence, mainly on the text of national, scientific, and mass culture, on negritude and the decolonization. So first, this text addresses the importance for China to absorb on a large scale cultures of foreign countries as an ingredient for their own culture. They should absorb whatever they found useful, not only in the present socialist or new democratic cultures of other religions, but also from the older cultures of foreign countries, and those of the various capitalist countries in the Age of Enlightenment. China was very open to any idea that would benefit their own culture. For example, it was mentioned that the truth of Marxists would be integrated with the characteristics of the nation, and given a definite national from can be useful. Communists may form an anti-imperialist and anti-feudal front for political action. However, they would never approve of their idealism and religious doctrines. And now with the reading on decolonization, this reading emphasizes that the natives' violence unifies the people, but it's very structured. Colonialism is separatist and regionalist. Colonialism does not simply state the existence of tribe, but it also reinforces it and separates them.
In the reading of negritude, Leopoldo Sédar Senghor had received his education in Paris and interacted with other Black intellectuals. Together with his compatriots, Senghor developed the idea of negritude, which was a statement of virtues of the Black identity. However, negritude did not completely reject the Western culture. Senghor Wonderworld involved was good from France without getting assimilated into French culture. His political agenda emphasized the civil rights of those residing in French colonies as opposed to political independence. Senghor sought a federation that would link European and Asia as equal partners. However, European leaders were not so eager to raise African incomes. The African nationalisms were also not enthusiastic about the Euro Africa.
Next slide, please.
When discussing about how do these thinkers and arguments influence our view of contemporary politics, next slide, please. We could say that the perspective that these thinkers bring are very important because they offer a clear contrast in how politics work today. And at the same time, it offers real insight on how certain politics operate and where their ideals originate from. This brings more clarity when analyzing current political affairs in our current times, influencing our views. And lastly, this happens that this can bring extreme opposites, such as far left and far right, and not so much in between.